Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I will call to order the Liquor Control Board meeting today, January 5th. The time is 6 p.m. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Deputy Mayor Oakleaf. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. So the first item, so we have our consent agenda items, which is a discussion approval of Standing Stones Wines LLC renewal, and a discussion approval of, sorry if I butcher this, Cheetah Enterprises LLC, also a renewal, and we have Jenny.
Yes, good evening. So staff is fine with both of these. Cheetah just is pending an inspection next week.
Okay, so no concerns?
No
from
concerns.
Perfect. Any questions from council?
None, no.
Seeing no questions, I will seek a motion to approve.
So moved. Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Perfect.
Hi, thank you.
Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you, Jenny.
All right, the time is 6:02 p.m. and we will now move into our city council meeting. The first item we have is agenda review. Any concerns about tonight's agenda?
None. No.
All right, I would like to move two items, the public hearing D and E, the folks I have been told who are here, and I don't want to have them wait until the end of the meeting as we likely will be here for a little bit. So I'd like to make those the new items A and B, if that works.
No problem. Yep.
Perfect.
Do you want to do B and C? Do you want WAAT first? Or first?
I guess that's a good question. Do we want to do WAAT and then the public hearing, or start with the public hearing and then move into WAAT?
I think
I'm
D&E
fine.
would go fast.
Sorry, what?
I think D&E will go fast.
Yeah.
Yes, I think they'll go pretty quickly. So we'll make those A and B. All right, so I need a motion for those changes.
So moved. Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Perfect, thank you. All right, so our next item will be public comment. So public comment is intended to give folks time to discuss items that are not on today's agenda. So if you're here to talk about something that is on the agenda, if you can wait until that moment, we will have public comment for that section. And I don't have the Zoom up yet, so if anyone can just let me know if there's anyone online. But does anyone in the room have any public comment not on an agenda item they'd like to speak about today? No? All right. Anybody online on Zoom?
Yes. Hi. Sarah Van Rijkenborstel.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Sarah. How are you?
Hi, everybody. I'm good. I had a little something that I wanted to bring up as new business, and after doing a little bit of research, and I may not have this exactly right, but I think you'll get the gist of it. I looked back into what the city council made as a stipend, and I could get back to the year 2000, and the stipend for city council and mayor is exactly the same as it was in the year 2000. Maybe prior to that even. And I think that as a community, basically I understand you guys do, it's a largely volunteer job, but I really think it's time, and I'm sure, or not sure, but my guess is that year after year that city councilors don't vote to increase their own stipends because they look at the community, they see that there are a lot of needs, and they forego their own, things that they may need in their own lives as a recognition of just what you guys do for us. I would like to make a proposal that your stipend is increased in the next city council city budget. If we were to do, and I looked at the consumer price index, and we could go simply with an increase in what that would be. But I would propose that you look at something like a 14% increase, and I'm not going to go into the details of how you calculate that. You guys can figure that out. which would put the counselors at about $3,000 a year and the mayor at about $3,500 a year, which still isn't a whole lot in this day and age, but I feel like it's something the community should do. And I think that the counselors, it's awkward, you have to vote this for yourself, but I think you should get over being tentative or shy about doing that and have that for discussion. So that's all I want to say, and thanks.
Sarah, thank you very, very much for those comments. You make very valid points. It is something that councillors don't tend to want to talk about, but we all have recognized that there are extreme equity issues in the current pay structure, which inhibits folks from being able to become members of council. So appreciate your comments there, Sarah. Have a good evening.
Okay. So, yeah, just use that as a base.
Thanks, Sarah. Thank you.
And then I see another hand.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can, yes.
My name's Peter G. Franzoni. I'm a Rutland City citizen. The FTAS LLC, I'm sorry, that's my business. I'm a title abstractor. I couldn't get my computer to change the name, but my name's Peter Franzoni. Honorable members of the board, as I'm not a constituent, I humbly thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'll try and be as brief as possible, as I don't want to take away from your town's other good business. A number of weeks ago, I sent the council information about them adopting a due process resolution, a resolution condemning attacks on due process and affirming constitutional protections for the people of Williston. This was a resolution that was enacted by the city of Rutland. Public in Rutland worried that the locally elected officials were either unaware of or in support of constitutional rights violations that were being committed by our federal administration. And they were worried that local officials were either unaware of it or in support of it. And went down to the local council, to our council in Rutland City, and we brought these issues to them. Alderman Talbot drafted the resolution. Resolution is simply a way for the elected officials of the municipality to go on record and declare to their constituents that they're cognizant of these violations that are happening to our constitutional rights, or that they disapprove of those violations, that they reaffirm their belief and commitment to support and defend our constitutional rights and protections, and that they're opening to reviewing town and city policies and procedures and opening a dialogue with the public to see what they can do to keep their constituents safe. Since Rutland enacted that, another 23 municipalities that have also drafted a resolution, elected officials drafting a resolution for their constituents. That represents about 148,000 Vermonters, or just under 23% of the state's population. The resolution is about elected officials going on the record. It's a declaration. It's not a declaration by the public. It's a declaration by the elected officials to the public. It's basically just a way for the elected officials to say to the public that elected them, we see the dangers of what's going on. We don't approve of it either. We'll do whatever we can here at home to try and make our constituents safe. It's about this time in my speech that I usually start encouraging the council to do so the same, and I start talking about my oath of enlistment as a veteran in the Army and what the Constitution means. In Winooski's case, I really feel like I'm preaching to the choir. Rutland City has a large immigrant population, and that's why they were worried. Winooski has the most diverse population in the state, and your community, unfortunately, has already been dealing with this firsthand. So I guess today I'm not here so much to ask the council to draft this resolution for the public as much as I am to let the council know that the majority of elected officials in 24 municipalities in the state stand behind protecting our constitutional protections, and I would encourage you to reach out to them. I provided you information. I can resend it again if it went to spam. All of the resolutions that the other municipalities have passed are available online for review, and I really encourage you guys to reach out. And if you decide to draft a resolution for your own, I would certainly appreciate it. We would appreciate it. My intention is that if I can get more than 50% of the population represented by this action, I'll be able to go to the state legislature and start petitioning them to start drafting laws that would hold federal agents accountable at a state level, civilly and criminally, if they violate our constitutional rights. So that's the whole purpose. That's the whole reason I sent it all to you. I humbly thank you for your time. If you have any questions, I'll answer them. If you need any more information from me, please let me know and I will make it available. Thank you so much.
Peter, thank you for your comments. I will take a look at that email again. I appreciate you bringing it up. Also, thank you for your service to our country. It's greatly appreciated. I hope you have a good evening.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Any additional public comment on Zoom? All right. Seeing none, I will move over to our consent agenda. So on our consent agenda, we have Liquor Control Board meeting minutes from December 8th, payroll warrant November 23rd to December 6th, accounts payable warrants on December 29 and January 2, subsequent to payout warrants November and December 2025, Abenaki parking garage bond resolutions. Council, any concerns with the consent agenda?
No.
All right, therefore I'll seek a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved. Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Wonderful. Thank you. Council reports. Councilor Turcos, let's start with you.
Yes. Oh, no, that's not it. We have a Safe, Healthy, Connected People meeting on Tuesday, January 13th at 5:30 p.m. in the community room at the Myers Pool.
Amazing, thank you.
All right. The Housing Commission met on December 16th to discuss changes to the comprehensive plan and to brainstorm potential changes to the construction and rehabilitation program, or the core program. The commission elected to check back in April and May and postpone the discussion on the core program with consideration to the legislative session.
Wonderful, thank you. Councilor Deputy Mayor Oakleaf.
The Municipal Infrastructure Commission was canceled for December because we did not meet the quorum. We had not originally planned on meeting in January, but given the fact that we did cancel for December, it's possible that we'll meet on January 15th. I just need to check that we'll have quorum for that date. So possibly make a meeting on January 15th, 6:30 p.m. at Myers Memorial Pool. We may, if we do end up having that meeting, we may have time to review both the latest traffic calming study as well as EV charger infrastructure report that was completed just before the new year.
Wonderful. Councilor Hurd.
Yes, the Inclusion and Belonging Commission met on December 17th. We also discussed the comprehensive work plan with representing. We also began the discussion around a working group to put up banners on Main Street. So the new Main Street light poles have the place to have banners. And putting together kind of a group to think about the norms and stuff that those will be. There'll be some participation, I believe, from the school, the city, and some members of the Inclusion and Belonging Commission volunteered to be a part of that. Those are the main things. We also confirmed a new chair, as our current chair is going to be on maternity leave. Those are the big things from that meeting.
Awesome, thank you. Noting a theme here, in Finance Commission, we also talked about the comprehensive plan. In Planning Commission, they continued the discussion that they've been having on the Unified Land Use and Development regulations. I won't include all of the sections that they talked about in my email, but it was ranging from 2.2 to 6.6. Additionally, thank you to, actually, all of the councilors were able to join me at the Burlington and Winooski joint legislative meeting for the public awareness once a year. City councilors from Burlington, from Winooski, and the legislators that we share all get together to talk about our needs and wants for the legislative session. It was a really productive meeting. Mayor Emma and myself presented a very aligned group of asks for our legislators. So they've got a lot to look at this session, but we're glad that Vermont's largest city has the same asks that we do. And also just a point to call out, some of our commissions are in need of folks to join, particularly Finance Commission that I get to oversee. So if you are interested in helping out your community a little more, take a look at the Winooski City website on the commissions page, and you can see how to apply there.
Sorry, can I?
Yes.
Didn't forget, but also was just so enthralled, and it's January. The Safe, Healthy, and Connected People meeting met, Safe, Healthy, Connected People Commission met on December 9th to also talk about the comprehensive plan. So I apologize that time has eluded me.
No worries at all. Thank you.
Thank you.
City Manager, city updates.
Yes, thank you. The fiscal year 2027 budget process does continue tonight. If you stick around for the capital improvement plan and public works department presentation, that would be great. Learn about services like plowing, paving, and mowing, and how the city manages big picture projects and assets like vehicles and facilities. For full budget details, you may visit winooskivt.gov/FY27. That's F as in fiscal. If you're interested in running for Winooski City Council or Winooski School District Board of Trustees, you're in luck. The following terms are up for election on the town meeting day election on March 3rd. Winooski City Council, mayor's 1 year unexpired term, 2027. City Council 2-year term ending in 2028. Actually, there's 2 of those seats available. And then a city councilor 1 year unexpired term ending in 2027. And then for Winooski School District School Board, that's the treasurer, a 3-year term ending in 2029. A 3-year trustee term ending in 2029. A 2-year trustee term ending in 2028, and a 1-year unexpired term for trustee ending in 2027. Residents must file a consent of candidate form and petition with a minimum of 30 signatures. More are encouraged. This needs to be filed with the city clerk by 5 p.m. on Monday, January 26, 2026. You can visit the news update section of winooskivt.gov to download that paperwork. And to learn more, or you can visit the city clerk's office Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can also call us at 802-655-6410.
It's going to be quite the long ballot. People are gonna get this here. Thank you very much. So we move on to our regular items. We are starting with our new item A, which is going to be a public hearing on the proposed private street name. Ready?
Okay, so this is pretty straightforward, I think. The property owner is one of the property owners is here, and might be able to provide more context as well. But on our end, in terms of E911, there is a private street that Vermont E911 doesn't have a name for, and it came to our attention because a property owner is looking to build a unit, get an address, and looking at the maps, there was no way for us to provide an address at this point. So we are looking for approval of a name for this private roadway. The suggested name that the property owners on that street came to consensus on is Khouri Lane. And we found no issues with this name, no conflicts with operations. At this point, I'll turn it over to you for any questions.
Wonderful. So for this public hearing portion, we will open it up to the public to ask any questions that they may have about this. Thank you for letting us know that the property owner is here. I'll start on Zoom as there's less folks in there. If there's anybody on Zoom who would like to make a comment on this portion of the public hearing, please raise your hand. All right, seeing no hands, I will turn to folks in the room. If anybody would like to make comments, if you will just come and take a seat up here to give that comment.
Yeah, I think Ravi just wrapped it up pretty good. You know, like the place is very difficult to find, and anytime like I need workers to go there, I need to write a paragraph to get there. And I think that, you know, if there's a fire or if somebody's having a heart attack, that might
You
be
don't have time for a
problem,
paragraph.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it just makes sense, and the street is owned by the Khouris, and she wants to name it Khouri Lane. I think it makes sense, so.
Yeah, perfect.
I love it.
Any other comments?
My name is Munir Khouri. I grew up right there. That was our family's land since 1962. And it was never really named anything, as he was alluding to. And so now that there is a new home on there, we figured we should give it a name, so.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Well, thank you very much.
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, all right.
I don't think we've met any of you. I don't think we've met, even though we get emails. Anyone from Winooski, we've been here our whole life.
Oh, gosh.
And my grandmother before us, she used to own so much property here.
Yeah,
She used to own where the Willow Mill, that whole area. It was all apartment houses.
oh, wow.
She owned everything there, and not just there on Mountains Bay. I mean, she owned property everywhere.
And our family's also been in Winooski since the turn of the last century.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so.
Very
It's been a
cool.
long time.
Well,
We love it here, obviously. We're still here.
yeah,
And we're still in the same house that my parents were in, so
awesome. Well, nice to meet you both.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming in today,
thank you.
for this very procedural item here. Well, seeing no other comments, I will close the public hearing. Oh,
We got one in the back.
Just a question, because it's Khouri Lane as opposed to Khouri Lane, right? So just
Nobody can hear
so
him on the mic.
folks know the spelling.
I don't know if it's,
K-O-U-R-I.
Mike.
No,
K-A-U-C.
I don't,
Yeah, and not C-O.
Ravi, can you just repeat that just for the record?
Yes, it's Khouri
I recognize.
Lane,
Okay, thank you.
Khouri.
Wonderful.
Thanks.
Yes, AH.
All right, well, with no other public comment, I will close the portion of the public hearing and move on to the next item, which is discussion approval of the proposed private street name. I'm assuming there's nothing else you want to share. All right, so in that case, I'll look for a motion to approve the street name.
So moved?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, perfect.
Aye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Have a great night.
Have
Thank
a
you
good
again.
evening. You're welcome to stay, but you don't
Yeah.
have to. So we'll move on to our new item C, Winooski Alliance for Active Transportation, presentation on East Spring Street. John,
Thank you.
Thank you.
bye-bye.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
y'all.
John, do you want to tee it up, or?
I'm sorry, so,
Okay.
yeah, this was requested by WAAT, so we don't have anything to take up
Okay,
particularly.
sure, fine. I just saw John's name, just didn't know if there was anything you wanted to say. So, WAAT representatives then, would you like to introduce yourselves?
Hi, yeah. My name's Eli Ogilvy. I'm a Winooski resident and a member of the WAAT group. We're missing Abby.
Would you
so
say
should we
what
go? Yeah, what do you?
WAAT stands for the
Yeah, so
record?
it stands for Winooski Alliance for Active Transportation. It's the organization is a bunch of Winooski residents that are actively trying to make Winooski more walkable and bikeable and more friendly to other modes of transportation. We are heavily helped by local motion, and so we want to give them our thanks because they are very helpful with understanding a lot of these issues.
I'm Brian Colombini, also on the WAAT steering committee. I live on Winooski Falls Way. We were expecting one other member to join us, Abby. Is Abby online by chance?
I don't think.
Didn't see her in the room.
Not from what I can tell.
Yeah, no.
Alrighty, I hope Abby's safe through this unexpected storm. The show must go on, so we will proceed without Abby. Would anybody else from the steering committee like to join us in Abby's place? All right, we'll get it going then. No worries. So tonight we're sharing results from a survey that WAAT conducted in the spring of 2025, asking folks from the community to comment on their safety concerns on East Spring Street. Next slide, please. Thank you. Eli gave us a little intro already, but WAAT is the Winooski Alliance for Active Transportation. The group formed in February of 2023 and advocates for safer, more accessible walking, biking, and rolling infrastructure around the city. The group has pushed for improvements on the upcoming Burlington-Winooski Bridge, contributed to the LaFountain and Dion Street scoping study, and helped shape the Winooski Walk-Bike Plan. And we hold monthly public meetings. Those are on Wednesdays from 9 to 10:30 a.m. And we're led by our 10-member steering committee of Winooski residents and partners. Again, shout out to Local Motion, who provides technical assistance. Next slide, please. The vision for the group is that everybody should be able to move without risking their lives and should have the freedom to use their preferred mode of transportation. Safe streets for all. That includes people walking, people using wheelchairs and other assistive devices, people biking, people using transit, and people driving. Next slide, please. All right, Spring Street in Winooski is a key east-west route for folks walking and biking and moving around in general, but it lacks safe infrastructure, particularly for the most vulnerable road users, and that creates risks for residents. In response to longstanding concerns about the safety on East Spring Street, WAAT, in partnership with Local Motion, surveyed the community. Again, that was in spring 2025. And we found confirmation of a lot of the safety concerns on East Spring Street and broad support for a pilot project to improve the street's design. Some of the key issues that survey respondents acknowledged were the lack of sidewalks on certain segments of the street, dangerous traffic patterns and intersections, unsafe and aggressive driving, and poor road conditions. Next slide, please. Thank you. Here, I'll just read verbatim a few quotes from the responses that folks provided on the survey so that you can hear some of these concerns in residents' own words. First off, the leftmost quote, "I bike commute to work, and it feels unsafe with the speed of traffic and no bike lane. The poorly maintained street with lots of potholes on the shoulder/edge of the road makes it even less safe." The images on this slide are a little small on the screen in the room here, but I'll try to provide a brief description of each one. So the photo under that leftmost quote is showing a view on East Spring Street looking eastbound, pretty close to the East Allen Street intersection. And on the left side of the photo, there's a pedestrian walking in the direction facing the camera. On the street, not on a sidewalk, this is on the segment of the street that lacks a sidewalk on either side. And there is also, it's really hard to make out on the in-room screen, but right at the intersection, there's also a cyclist facing away from the camera, and they seem to be turning from East Spring Street onto East Allen Street. The next quote on the slide is, "Many people blow through stop signs across the neighborhood, making it hard to predict whether crosswalks are safe to use." In the photo under this quote, we see some snow on the ground, and there are a couple of cars at the intersection of East Spring Street and Russell Street. And there are two pedestrians facing away from the camera on the right side of the street, again, where there is no sidewalk. They're standing at the edge of the road. And the last quote on this slide, "At night, it is very dark and the sidewalk completely drops off. I am worried about being hit by a car sometimes." The last photo on this slide is very dark. It seems to be at night, definitely after the sun has gone down. We see some headlights from cars on the right side of the photo, and right in the middle of the photo, there is a pedestrian walking eastbound on East Spring Street, again, right at the corner with Russell Street, on the edge of the road. A few more quotes from the survey responses, thank you. The road itself is in pretty poor condition as well, so cars traveling on it are trying to miss big cracks and potholes, which makes it even more unsafe for bikers and walkers. The photo below this quote on the slide shows two pedestrians with their canine friends walking along East Spring Street. They're facing away from the camera, walking, I think this is eastbound again. It's kind of hard to make out with all the leaves on the trees. And the next quote here is, using a wheelchair is terrible on this street. The section of road with no sidewalks is poorly maintained, and the section closest to the curb is very rough and usually covered in sticks and debris, forcing people to be farther out in the street than is safe. The photo under this quote shows a pedestrian walking westbound on East Spring Street, on the right next to the curb off of the street, but again where there is no sidewalk. They're in between the curb and a fence, walking a dog. And the last quote on the slide is, I bike on East Spring Street, it is terrifying. Next slide, please. I'll hand it over to Eli.
So how we want to structure this. So WAAT and Locomotion sent out a survey to the residents, and the overarching results and top priorities of that survey were identified as road maintenance, particularly with damage to the road, as well as striping of the road is very worn down. Crosswalks have not been repainted, was another big concern. There's also a huge gap on East Spring between Russell and East Allen, where there's currently no sidewalk. Next slide, please. There was also concern about lack of bike infrastructure. This is one of the most heavily used roads in Winooski, I believe after East Allen and Main. And particularly with how wide the road is, because parking is underutilized on that street. Speeds has been noted by residents there that cars drive excessively fast, as well as a desire for a more pleasant walking experience and biking experience on the road. So more lighting, seating, things like that were discussed. Next slide, please. Sorry.
Ashley's here.
So of the other survey, there was 165 responses to the survey. 70% of the respondents said they felt unsafe or somewhat unsafe walking or rolling on East Spring Street. 8 of the 10 residents said they're more likely to walk or bike on the street if the issues that were mentioned before were resolved. And the same goes with biking, with 60% of the respondents saying they felt unsafe biking. Next slide, please. So the next discussion was what to do next. There was an idea of asking the residents about if they were interested in a pilot project, of something to try to see if they wanted to see what they didn't like and what they liked and go from there. The residents were very open to the idea of a pilot project. Out of the 165 response, 73% of the residents were interested in it. 22 said they were potentially supportive depending on the design, and 5% were not supportive at all. Next slide.
Alrighty. So WAAT did propose a pilot project on East Spring Street with technical assistance from Locomotion. This proposed pilot project was for a 3-month quick build demonstration on East Spring Street. The pilot proposal featured a 1,400-foot-long side path on the south side of East Spring Street that would have repurposed underutilized parking and narrowed travel lanes to slow down vehicle traffic. The side path was proposed as 10 feet and meant to accommodate pedestrians, bicyclists, and mobility device users, offering a safe and continuous route on that segment of the street. Features of the pilot project also included new and refreshed side crosswalks, bike sharrows, which are like those painted road markings with the arrow and a cyclist icon from Main Street to Barlow Street to connect to the new bike infrastructure on Main Street, and also bus stop and placemaking amenities pending the grant support from AARP. Next slide, please. The images on this slide show just like a cross-section of the street representing the conceptual design from the pilot project proposal. So on the left side, the image shows the cross-section of the street from Barlow Street to Russell Street, facing eastbound. This is the segment of the street that does have a sidewalk on one side of the street. And in this rendering, the proposed side path is represented there on the south side of the street, opposite that existing sidewalk. On the right-hand image, this is showing the segment of East Spring Street between Russell Street and East Allen Street, where there is no sidewalk on either side. And again, it shows the proposed side path there on the south side of the street. Next slide, please. All right, this image just shows like another rendering of what the side path might have looked like there on the south side of East Spring Street, approaching the intersection with East Allen Street. Here we see the flex posts dividing the side path to provide some protection from those folks who would have been on the path from vehicle traffic. Next slide, please. Okay, so this pilot project didn't happen in 2025. You didn't miss it. WAAT didn't have the necessary support from the city to move forward with securing a grant to fund the pilot. And to partner on the implementation of the quick build. That being said, the reason why we're here sharing this information is because we think the priorities that motivated the pilot proposal and also the concerns that residents raised in the survey highlight the importance of the East Spring Street sidewalk expansion that is included in the capital plan proposal that you all will be hearing about tonight. We think that this addresses a long-standing priority that has been expressed in the city's transportation planning for a long time now. Back in the 2017 transportation plan, this creating a sidewalk on this segment of East Spring Street was recommended as a high priority action item. And the topmost pedestrian network enhancement. And that priority was reiterated in the 2019 comprehensive planning cycle. And again, the importance of this corridor for walk-bike infrastructure was highlighted in the 2023 walk-bike plan. So this has been a longstanding priority in the city's plans. And also, there's an increased urgency for addressing these safety concerns. Next slide, please. Okay, yes, the increasing urgency. As you all kind of well know at this point, the Burlington-Winooski Bridge project is coming up, and there will be traffic redirected from the bridge project onto East Spring Street, causing a surge of traffic. The state has recognized this safety concern, so much so that it is investing significant cost in signalizing the East Spring Street and East Allen Street intersection, otherwise known as Hood's Crossing. Again, the addition of the sidewalk component of this project is included in the capital plan proposal that you all will be hearing about later. Next slide, please. So we urge you to support the East Spring Street sidewalk expansion included in the capital budget proposal. WAAT is committed to working with the community and the city to make improvements to East Spring Street in the near future. We think that bridging the dangerous sidewalk gap here is an essential first step towards making the corridor safer for all users. We're here to entertain questions. If we have the time, we know you all have a long agenda and it's the busy budget season. We are also available by email. The way that you can contact the whole steering committee is at wattsteering@locomotion.org. Thanks.
Awesome, thank you very much. Very much appreciate this. I feel like we were emailing a lot about making this happen, and then now it's here. So thank you, and thank you for coming with such a detailed presentation. It's not every day that folks bring up full slides and data for us. I really appreciate it. You know, East Spring Street has definitely been something that this council and councils before have talked about for a variety of reasons and sometimes at length. So it's definitely, you know, and we use it, so it's a known concern to all of us. I do see a lot of folks here, and I'm assuming that many of you are here to talk about this. So before we get into our discussion, I'd like to open it up for public comment for anyone. If you would like to participate in public comment, I'll just remind you, just raise your hand and then come up to the table. I'll open it up to Zoom first, however. If there's anybody online who would like to share anything with council, please raise your hand. All right, I see one hand there. Paul, can you bring Jen over?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
You can, yes.
Hi, everybody. This is Jen. I'm on the Inclusion and Belonging Commission for the City of Winooski. So I'm making this comment through that lens, even though it's not necessarily a commission comment, but I've been aware of this concern for a while, and I wanted to just put it out there through that lens, thinking about people who use wheelchairs or other walking support or mobility support, that I do think this is something like an accessibility issue that should be considered. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Any other comments on Zoom? All right, not seeing any. I will open it up to the public. Saw a hand back there if you want to come on up.
Yeah, this is more of just a semantic thing, but I feel like it is important. There was a slide that said for more pleasant walking experience, and I think it would be important to clarify like safer or add that in at least.
Thank you for that. And if you could just state your name.
Linnea Willie.
Wonderful, thank you. Yeah, I saw you put your hand up.
Good evening. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Eli. Thank you, everyone at WAAT. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council, for being here, everyone involved. My name is Lucas Peltier. I live in the LaFountain Street corridor, and I am a strong supporter of this street redesign. Improving public safety helps everyone. It reduces vehicle traffic. It encourages people to walk and attend the businesses that are in our area. According to the National Highway Transit Safety Authority, approximately 40,000 people are killed annually by traffic violence. And that includes pedestrians, that includes people in vehicles. And I'll follow that up with saying the health of a city is defined by how it treats vulnerable road users like children, students, and the elderly. For example, we have 3 pretty prominent colleges in the immediate area, and refusing to make the engineered environment safer discourages people from using it. And it makes it less safe, less convenient for people that want to otherwise come to our businesses and spend time in our city. As I said before, it improves the economic vitality of our area and businesses, because people want to spend time here. They want to spend their dwell time. As an educator and a future parent, I want my children to feel safe. I want children and families to feel safe. I myself feel unsafe without a headlamp and a camera to litigate anyone that potentially injures or kills me. On a more technical side, wide car lanes encourage reckless driving and speeding with a lack of accountability as well. Furthermore, broken and missing sidewalks discourage non-drivers from using the street at all. I'd like to conclude that by saying that cars can be replaced, but human life cannot. So I'm a strong supporter of the redesign of East Spring Street, further traffic calming measures, and universal daylighting at intersections. Thank you all for the work that you do for us.
Thank you for your comments. Appreciate it. Come on up.
Hey everyone.
Hey.
I just wanted to reiterate that I'm really grateful that the city is looking at the sidewalk app as a part of the safety improvements that are happening with the bridge project. I think that just the expense that the state is spending on our intersection redesign shows like how much more traffic we're going to see along this corridor. It's disappointing that they didn't recognize that people walking and biking would be at more threat because of this traffic as well. But I think that there's potential cost savings to the city that John and Ryan have talked about by activating these projects together when they already have the heavy duty equipment and machinery out there. So I think that's another reason that hopefully we can get this done at the same time and save the city a little bit of money that way. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, come on up.
Hi, thanks for looking at our proposal with the WAAT also. My name is Terry Zigman, and I'm in support of this project, obviously, for a safer, especially for the people that live, the older folks that live in the senior housing right there, which hasn't really been discussed much. It's really unsafe for people right now to be out there in a wheelchair or any other kind of assisted device. And definitely as a cyclist, it is a scary place to bike. So I urge you to support this project.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Tim Cece. I'm a resident of Winooski. I think I'm in full agreement with the proposals to improve the movement conditions on East Spring Street. One thing that does concern me when looking at current timelines for the signals being added to the infrastructure in the same area and whatnot is currently Chittenden Regional Planning Commission says that's going to happen in 2027 to 28, which might overlap with bridge construction at its current timeline too, and thus not have the desired effect of improving the detour that'll happen when the bridge is under full construction. So if timelines are being considered, I just want to highlight that I think this sidewalk work should absolutely happen before the bridge project ground is broken. But it would be awesome if the signal and the sidewalk were both completed before that time too.
Thank you. Darlene, I thought that the signal work was supposed to be done before the bridge was gonna start. Sure, yeah.
So yes, correct. So the whole point of the traffic signal project is initially when VTrans started looking at detour routes for the bridge project, they were estimating that some sort of temporary signal would have to be installed at that intersection. And that's when we started pushing them to look at a permanent signal based on our scoping study. So they have to install the signal prior to the bridge.
Okay.
Otherwise, that's sort of the whole point of
Okay, yeah.
the permanent signal. And the sidewalk portion would be part of that signal project. So
Okay.
that would all be installed prior to the bridge.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any additional public comment? All right. Seeing none, council, this is for discussion, so if you have anything you'd like to ask of WAAT or ask of each other, now is our time. Councilor Hurd.
So I'm a council liaison to the Infrastructure Commission. I have definitely been thoroughly immersed in the work that WAAT has done. They've presented numerous times to the Infrastructure Commission, a great deal of outreach they've held, in addition to their survey that they conducted, which was door to door, I believe, as well as online surveys. They had a public hearing at the senior center, so they have done an extensive amount of work to gather feedback and input from residents that live along that street, and that would be directly impacted potentially by the addition of the sidewalks and potential removal of parking that's thoroughly underutilized and has been underutilized. So I know there can be tension between parking and use of road space for multimodal users, but I think WAAT has done an extensive amount of research and public engagement that, it's not one for one per se to the work and research that the city might have a consultant do, but I certainly think that it is extensive. So if you haven't had the time to really review the materials that they provided, I would say that would be helpful. And then for anyone, since I believe this will be a bond vote, for the community members to as well, just look at the additional work that WAAT did, as well as the materials that the city will provide in leading up to the bond vote on town meeting day.
Thank you, Councilor Deputy.
That's all good.
Deputy Mayor Oakley. Councilors.
No, just a huge thank you to WAAT. This is a lot of work and a volunteer position, and it's just greatly appreciated.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I'm just looking at Councilor Hurd, but I think they're good. All right, thank you so much. Really appreciate you taking all of this time and giving us all this information. We look forward to see how it ties into what John's going to talk about in just a little bit. All right. Knowing that we're going to have a long discussion, I'm actually going to call a little break for us before we dive into the budget, and then folks can filter out of the room if they're not looking to hang out for that. So the time is 6:54. Let's come back in 5 minutes. The time is 6:59. We will come back from that 5-minute recess, and we're going to talk, move on now to discussion fiscal year 2026-2027 proposed budget capital plan. John.
Great, thanks. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Share the screen quick here. So tonight, this first presentation is about the general fund capital improvement plan. So for the agenda, for some folks that are new to this, just sort of an intro of what the capital plan is, and then I'll get into what our existing capital debt is, I see Angela in the background, so she can chime in if I mess anything up. And then start getting into more of the detail of the proposed FY27 capital plan. So existing debt, one-time costs, and then get into more detail of each of those projects, and then just kind of some future outlook items that might be coming up after that.
Great.
So intro items, what is capital plan? So it basically covers all departments in the general fund, everything that's through property taxes. So police department, fire department, community service, public works, and it's a 5-year outlook of what our major capital expenses are. So in one of our purchasing policies, it is pretty clearly identified for those items shown there of what is a capital asset. And then there's 2 primary categories for those. So one is things we finance. Those can be anywhere from like a 5-year financing out to like a 40-year financing, which is typically like our big projects, like bridges, things that last like hundreds of years. And then one-time expenses are those that, you know, we tend to, either they're smaller costs or we just do it every single year, like paving or buying a police car or something like that. For the most part, for as far as selecting capital items, assets, and projects, most time we're just replacing existing stuff. So it's like plow trucks and police cars. However, you know, now and again we're upgrading or there's new projects, and so those typically come from, you can kind of see below some of the examples here that are more transportation related. It's usually through some sort of planning process. So it's, you know, shown here is our transportation master plan and our Winooski walk bike plan. Typically out of those comes more detailed plans, like a scoping plan for, you know, in this case, Main Street, which was done in, I think, 2012. So we're only a few years away from that original corridor plan. And then, you know, the bridge project, for example. So a lot of these like enhancements and large projects stem from a year plus of some sort of public planning process. And then the other thing I'll call out here is a lot of times in the general funds, some of these transportation projects are driven by underground utility work. So as shown here, one of our large water distribution system master plans, which highlights priority water main replacements, that will drive what we do for surface transportation work. So in this example here, the LaFountain Dion Street scoping study was really driven by the water main master plan that's highlighting that we need to replace that water main as a priority. I'll try not to dwell too much on spreadsheets, but this is an overview of our existing capital debt. So this is everything that the city currently has on the books for debt. What's highlighted is the annual payments for FY27. So in total, we have $1,461,307 for existing capital debt for FY27. So big changes from previous year is that you can kind of see highlighted in red and green. So red is what's coming off the books. It's mostly some fleet costs that are some final payments, about $80,000. And then this will be the first year for our Main Street debt payment. So that's a big, pretty big chunk. It's $673,000. That currently is just an estimate because we still have to close on that loan this spring with USDA, but that's the value that they've identified to us so far as what our closing amount will be, and that'll be a 30-year term. And for folks that aren't aware, the Main Street funding is actually, we set that up years ago through the TIF expiration, Tax Increment Finance District expiration. So that fund, part of that funding went towards paying for that $673,000, and then in, I think it was FY19, we actually did an increase specific to Main Street in the pool to help pay for this, and the local option tax that we did that year helped pay for this. So there is no tax rate increase because of this new debt that was already set up years ago. Any questions on this existing debt? Oh, one other highlight is we are showing the almost $200,000 debt payment for the bridge construction starting sometime in FY32. So that's on here is just, that will be coming up as another large annual payment. Okay. Just to break that down a little bit too, just so you see where most of the capital funding is going. So 70% is going towards transportation. In this, as shown, most of that is the Main Street project. And then fleet follows behind that at about 14%. And then Myers Pool is a large chunk too, 16% of our total debt for FY27. So getting into the actual FY27 proposal, so in total, with that existing debt, the $1,461,189 that's shown there, we are proposing a roughly $2 million capital plan this year. On the left side is what's funding that, and then on the right side is what those costs are. So as you can see on the left side, this year does require an additional $21,643 to cover the entire capital plan being proposed. And then on the right side, what you'll see is kind of what that new debt service is looking like. So proposed debt is an additional $200,000, and one-time non-finance expenses is $426,000. And then the percentages are kind of what makes up that roughly $2 million, and how that's being spent out. And I'll get into detail of like each of those projects and where that money is being spent. So these are the 14 items for the FY27 capital proposal. So the top table is finance debt, the bottom table is one-time expenses. So as you can see in the top table, we've got two large vehicle replacements, one of our large plow trucks, one of our backhoes. And then item 3 and 4 on the table are two potential bond vote items. So item 3, the police department has been working with an architect, which they discussed in their presentation about doing renovations downstairs. I'll get into a little more detail on that. And then item 4 is the proposed East Spring sidewalk expansion, which WAAT did a great job. I made my work easy tonight. But I do have a slide on that one as well. And then below are the one-time expenses. Most of it is fleet and equipment replacement. We have the annual street resurfacing work, which is a major chunk of that amount. We are planning to use quite a bit of capital reserve this year to make this capital plan work, so around $240,000. And then we've got, just going down the list, a bunch of small replacement items, equipment items. We're using all capital reserves for that. Some facilities, DPW facilities replacement work. PD, they have an annual patrol car replacement. And then community service has been annually trying to fund around $10,000 for grant and planning match, which they've been really successful in trying to chase some grants and leverage that for some of their open space parks planning projects. So that is also included.
John, for the annual street resurfacing, is that ask reflective of the work you're able to do, or is that like your max ask kind of dream?
Yeah, it's a good one. It's more based on what we're able to do right now, because prior to doing the resurfacing work, our crew will go out and fix all the manhole structures, and that ends up being about every year around $200,000 worth of paving. I think, if we were to start, we could contract that work, but then that number gets a lot bigger, and then this capital plan doesn't look so great. I think in theory, like, for example, the $200,000, that gets us to about 0.7 centerline miles of paving. We want to get to 1 mile of paving per year, because then that gets us on a better recurring schedule
Yeah.
for resurfacing. So yeah, we would like to get to more, like most things.
Yeah, no, okay, that's good to know. I mean, I just personally want to always encourage you to be asking for as much as you can.
Yeah.
On that line, because it is like number 2 complaint we get. So.
Yep. Just to get into some details for the fleet and equipment replacement. So as mentioned, we have a 6-wheeler plow truck and backhoe that are scheduled for replacement. Our plow trucks, we usually keep them around for 10 years, typically. And right now we have 3 in our fleet, 2023 to 2021, and we'll be replacing the 2016. The backhoe is 10 years of age as well. And right behind that, we're gonna replace a large loader next year. And then on the small equipment, it's, some of it's so old, it's well beyond its useful life. We've definitely gotten our money's worth out of them. So I didn't have ages on some of the small equipment that we have. And then on the police side, I think currently they're at 4 marked cars and 3 admin unmarked cars. This one's hard to see, and there's a lot going on, but high level, the sort of blue squares that we're showing are the areas that we're focusing on resurfacing work in the next coming years. So in the upper left-hand corners where we're looking to do resurfacing next year. So that's like Brisson Court, Pine Grove Terrace. We also have a stormwater project on Brisson Court yet next year that is required per our phosphorus control plan. So we're working those together. And this was actually on the books a few years ago that we're trying to get to this area. Excuse me. What I'm trying to show on this is all the factors that go into like where we're trying to resurface and what goes into like our mindset for where we're looking to redo roadways and sidewalks. So, a lot of times we're looking for streets that have fair to poor condition roadways. They're not too far gone that we have to do major reconstruction on them. But we also have to take into account what the underground utilities, what those conditions are. Has it been identified for a water main replacement project? Because basically once we pave, we're kind of on a moratorium on that street where we don't want to touch it for 15 years. The worst case scenario is if we're digging in that road next year on a new paved road. That is the worst scenario for us. So, a lot of times we'll video inspect the sewers, make sure there's no major issues. But then we're also looking at, what's the curbing look like? What's the sidewalk look like? And we've been more aggressive about sidewalk replacement while we're paving. So, for example, not this year, but last year, our paving budget, half of it was sidewalk replacement. This year, we did quite a bit of curbing replacement, and we upgraded a lot of the ADA curb ramps on paving this year. So, it doesn't. This doesn't quantify everything, but it kind of gives you a look of like how we're approaching resurfacing projects. So to go into it, so for next season, we're looking at that northwest section of sidewalk. At the same time, we are trying to do curbing and sidewalk on sort of that the east side of the area, Florida, Reginald. That's been on the books for a while, but Main Street has been a bit all-encompassing. So we would like to get that concrete work done next year, and then come back to it the following year for resurfacing, pavement resurfacing. That could be a potential grant opportunity too. So that's something we're looking at right now as some of the V-Trans grants are coming due. After that, I think we will probably end up down on West Street on the sort of the southwest side. Down in that area, there's some traffic calming that we're looking at down there too, that we'll be probably implementing when we do any resurfacing down there. And then along with the traffic signal at Hood's Crossing and the potential sidewalk, East Spring Street would probably be another likely candidate in the next couple of years for total resurfacing. We might have to break that one into a couple chunks. And there is Class 2 VTrans funding that could support some of that as well. So any questions? This is a little busy, but any questions on resurfacing, paving work, anything like that?
I can't tell if you have a date on this, for when it was last updated.
Are you talking about the pavement condition?
Yeah, the pavement condition, the water main breaks.
The water main breaks are updated. Those are all updated in GIS. This has been the pavement condition index, which is kind of the colors. So the colors are represented here, which are hard to tell on that screen, but they're in GIS, which gives kind of a ranking from like excellent to really poor. They're slowly getting updated. We do it through our GIS app as we go. So this isn't completely updated, but our goal is with Main Street slowing down, we can jump back on this and just do it annually. But all the new pavement work is included in here, pavement work that we did this summer. And then just kind of close out this slide, on the bottom here, you'll see that is the curve shown is a sort of deformation curve for asphalt pavement. So the reason I'm showing it is we tend to be pretty aggressive about paving every single year because the more you let it go, the more expensive it gets. So as you get lower on that curve, it gets substantially more expensive because now you're into like reconstruction and versus just a, we call mill and fill, where you're just taking that top 1.5 inches and putting back 1.5 inches. The longer you let the pavement degrade, then you're getting deeper and deeper into the pavement. Okay. And then, thanks again to WAAT for their great presentation. So this is just an overview of the potential sidewalk scope on East Spring Street. So it was identified that it seemed the best location for the sidewalk based on turning movements and just connectivity would be on the south side, especially given the sort of the grading on the north side. So it's about, I think, roughly 70 feet of new sidewalk that would connect to Russell Street in this location. Based on HNTB, who is the consultant for VTrans, they're estimating it to be about a $300,000 to $500,000 construction cost. So we would recommend a bond vote for $500,000, just conservatively. Okay. We wouldn't finance it until, we wouldn't have to go to bond or finance the bonding until we actually got a contract from VTrans and knew the number. So that wouldn't hold us to that higher number. But there's a pretty good cost savings with this. It's hard to quantify, but VTrans would be doing all the contract administration. They would be bidding the project. There'd be no mobilization costs because the contractor would be there. So there is sort of a unquantifiable cost savings there that, and just given that they're doing the traffic signal in this location, the timing is right. And then we would be, paving to at least Russell Street as well.
This is one of those things that being on city council just opened my eyes to on how expensive it is to maintain and build roads and sidewalks.
Concrete's
not a huge stretch of pavement, but $500,000 is.
Yeah, the traffic signal too. I mean, the original estimate when we did the scoping study, I think it was around like 2.5 million. That is 100% federally funded. So that was like a real win from city council side, the CCRPC, their support, kind of pushing VTrans to just do the permanent signal there. So that was a huge win for the city.
Yeah.
I don't have a ton of information on this to share, but the police chief provided some of the documentation for the downstairs work. They've been working with Breadloaf, who's an architect, and they've come up with the rough cost estimate. It's around $900,000 to do the upgrades downstairs, which would include some of the improvements I think you may have heard of like a while ago, where you know they want to add a bathroom and some detention facilities, and basically just new flooring, new ceiling. It's due down there. It's pretty rough if you walk down through there. Some HVAC upgrades. So this is, I think, a pretty conservative number too. Talking with Justin, so it seems like a safe number to go to a bond vote with. And then, yeah, finally, just ongoing work. So ongoing capital items, Main Street is obviously still, will still be moving forward next spring, and then there'll be a bunch of closeout items that we'll have to address even after construction. So that will continue on, even if it's just paperwork, all next summer. Burlington Winooski Bridge is going to be getting busy for us because we're going to be getting into the design build selection process phase, which is honestly probably one of the more busier pieces for us on the stakeholder side. And then I'm sure we'll be getting into the Hoods Crossing traffic signal design later this winter again. And then that, potentially may include the sidewalk piece as well. And then just some other items that you've seen on some of the other capital plans from previous years. I know Parks has a West Allen park design they've been looking at. Fire department, they have, I believe they're working on an RFP for building renovations, which you've all heard about. Last year, we had some funding to look at the Gilbrook sheet pile wall, which may turn into a bigger project. And then we're also working with the fire department on replacing a generator at their building. And then kind of longer term, bigger items. We still have 2 other bridges, unfortunately, that cross the railroad. So those are, of at least 100 years old plus. So we'll start to have to look at them again. They have been reviewed structurally, every 2 years they get evaluated, but I'm sure there's going to be some at least improvements needed in the next couple of years that we'll have to review. Potentially looking at fire department renovation, construction work, and then, I think hopefully after Main Street we get to more of like smaller street reconstruction projects for water main replacement work. That would be ideal. But yeah, and then just to leave with, the city does a really good job with sort of leveraging funds. So right now we've got between Main Street, the bridge project, at least our half, and the Hoods Crossing signal, about $72 million in infrastructure investments happening right now. But we're only paying for, we're only paying in $27 million because of grants and federal aid and just other projects. So obviously that's something we want to keep moving forward with. Trying to leverage as much of the grant and federal aid money as we can. And that's all I have on the capital side.
Amazing. John, those 2 bridges, is that something you anticipate VTrans would be interested in partnering on us with? I know that they're not technically main roads, so I don't know if they'd have the strong desire as they did with the other bridge project.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Definitely, I mean, the railroad's a big, it's over the railroad bridge, so they'd probably be the biggest stakeholder, and VTrans has some connection there, so there might be a connection there.
Okay.
Needless to say, those won't happen before the other bridge is done.
No, no.
Deputy Mayor, if somebody proposes
Yeah.
another construction project, I don't have veto power, but I'll look into how I can figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and typically with I mean, it's, you know, how it goes with these projects. It's like a year of like doing an evaluation, another year of like looking at like more detailed analysis. So it's typically years before you actually get to something. But just wanted to put on your radar that is potentially another big cost coming up.
Appreciate it. Councilors, any other thoughts?
None. No.
Councilor Hurd? No. Any comments?
One
Sorry.
thing that I wanted to ask that you might cover in the next presentation is the Cascade Garage elevator. Is
Yep.
that's not a capital?
That's in the, it didn't fit real great in the general fund one, so it is in the next presentation. Yeah.
Okay. And then I wasn't sure if there were folks had questions.
I don't know. Any public comment, either online or in the room? Eli,
I have a quick.
if you want to comment.
Thank you. Accessibility.
Hi, Eli Wolvie. Quick question. I know it was discussed before, talking about the savings that could possibly be done with doing the sidewalk expansion project with the intersection. Do you ever figure out a number for how much it could be saving the city?
I haven't. I can ask if VTran has any comparables that they could share, because it's not totally clear how much the sort of savings on mobilization and the contract piece is, but I can see if I can get a range even maybe.
Yeah, a range would be helpful. I think
Yeah.
I think it's probably just for some outreach purposes.
Yep.
Would it be feasible to use any estimates from the Main Street, since that's kind of currently underway for, this is what it would cost on Main Street? Obviously, everything's mobilized there for a much larger project, but I don't know, for some type of estimates.
Yeah, potentially. I'll look and see. I mean, we have unit prices for everything on Main Street, and we have the mobilization, demob costs, all that, so it might be.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
Hi.
Hi.
Marcy Gallagher. I work with Local Motion.
Oh, nice.
And I am wondering, there's a couple of grant opportunities that who knows whether these days, especially with federal grants, but that are coming up in the next month or so. There's the Build grant, which is a federal grant, and then the downtown development through the state. I'm wondering whether that's been explored to help pay for the sidewalk, or would it be helpful for Local Motion to kind of support with that?
Yeah, I mean, I know that we do try to pursue as many grants as we can. I don't know, I'll leave it to John to say if we have those ones, but I will just say, if there's any grant that you're aware of, feel free to email me, Marcy, and I'll get it over to city staff.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, Build grant, we've submitted on that one a few times for Main Street at least, and we're almost successful. We got to like the last round, and then we got beat out by South Burlington one year. So yeah, it was rough. And then the downtown one, we are pretty successful with that grant typically. So that might be a good one for us. Build grant, that one gets a little iffy for smaller projects.
Yeah, competitive. Okay.
Thank you, appreciate that. I think, I've seen your hand go up a few times, the Honorable Mr. O'Brien.
I did it low, so maybe someone go before me. Thank you and good evening. I'm Mike O'Brien. First, I want to say that I thought the presentation from WAAT was very, very good, and thank you for that. I've been involved for a few years here, and when I was on the council, we tried to get sidewalks replaced, but it's a hard push.
Yeah.
And it's very helpful to have a group like WAAT come along and do some studies and proposals. So thank you for that. And I'll take some blame for more sidewalks not having been done in the last 20 years.
Great, I'll send emails your way.
But hopefully we can have more sidewalks installed, like on Franklin Street, I mean, all over. Everyone knows where they are. Anyway, that's one thing. So I do support that project, which is probably a surprise to a lot of you, but that's okay. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was in the capital plan for the capital plan, you've probably noticed that the upstairs of City Hall, the carpets and whatnot, really need to be replaced. And I can tell you that from my recollection, and of course I forget some things, but since at least 1998, when I first was on the council, these carpets have not been replaced. So it's been close to 30 years. And I would suggest, I know it's difficult to find money to replace things like that. I would suggest if it can't be found in the budget somewhere, if you're gonna do a bond vote for the police station renovation, maybe bump that number up a little bit so you can do some items upstairs, specifically replacing carpet, and maybe, I'm sitting there looking beyond Steve at the open closet there, and some 15 or 20 years ago, we put the doors in because these closets were all open, and we thought, well, it doesn't really look that great in a city council meeting to have an open closet. Just some of the things I would throw out there. So I would really strongly suggest or support adding money to the budget, or bumping up the bond vote if you can't find the money to take care of some items upstairs that need to be, really should be replaced. I think that's it. Did I miss something?
I think Huh? You're good. No, you're good.
But thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. I did mention in a meeting that the city manager and I hold that we at some point might want to think about City Hall, but it's always difficult to ask for money for ourselves. And I know the city manager feels very similarly to that, but it is noted that City Hall hasn't had some work on it in a while either. Thank you. Any other public comments? Yeah.
Good evening again. It's Lucas Peltier from La Fountain Street Corridor. John, thanks so much for all the work you do. Just a quick clarifying question. Is there any argument as far as efficiency, safety, or in the economic realm for considering a roundabout type of design framework for East Allen, East Spring, or Dion, East Allen, in your mind?
Were you talking the whole Hits Crossing intersection there?
Yeah, so that
Yep.
one as well as Dion, East Allen,
Dion, East Allen.
closer to the highway interchange.
Yeah. I know during the scoping study, we did look at a roundabout at the Hoods Crossing intersection, but we didn't have enough space to accommodate it. And they looked at that, and it's in that scoping study you'll see. We haven't looked at anything at Dion in that area though, so that might be something we could review. But yeah, no, I mean, honestly, most times we try to look at roundabouts, like for example, the La Fountain Street scoping study, we've got some neighborhood roundabouts that are shown in there, and some of those stop intersections, so they work well for traffic calming. They're a great tool.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, love that for both traffic calming and for managing traffic flow as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you for your words.
Thanks.
Thank you. Abby, I saw your hand.
Thank you. Abby Blinding. 2 questions. Am I supposed to look at you guys? Or
I know, it's
if you want to look at us, and then if I need John to answer it, I'll have him answer it.
it
is, yeah.
John, you said the that the repaving would happen between East Allen and Russell as a part of the intersection project. Does that
Yeah.
mean the state's covering the cost of the repaving there?
So typically they cover up to 50 feet, and then we would be on the hook for the rest. But I mean, I think usually they work pretty well with us. I think we can get them at least to Russell, or maybe throw in a small amount for that work. But if we're doing the sidewalk, we're gonna resurface up to Russell at least.
And so the bond vote includes the paving
Yep.
project too
Yep.
as well? And will the language state that?
Yeah, and that will, the more flexible we can just be about that too, that will include paving. I'd probably just say to Russell, I'll talk with Angela how best to word it, but yeah, I'd include that.
Yeah, I think because, they promised a little bit of sidewalk and a little bit of paving, any way of quantifying the fact that they're already doing the work and we're just kind of pushing them
Yeah.
down the street would be really helpful. And then my second question was for the short-term design on the fountain. The design has a minimal cost sort of improvements. Is the plan? I know you had the 5+ year, and I think that's probably for the long term when the utilities get done. But is there any plan to put the short-term design in?
Yeah, that one's tricky because what I'm trying to find right now is we've been working with a contractor out of Massachusetts to do what's called a microsurfacing, to basically give us a clean pavement surface to repaint on.
Okay.
And if it gets a little wonky, but we're trying to find an asphalt emulsion that works with an aggregate up here. And if we can figure that out, then we can do a short term. I would say ideally, we'd want to do a short term in the next 2-3 years. And the benefit of doing this micro resurfacing is it only gives us 5 years on the pavement, so we don't have to worry about milling and filling it, and then we're not touching it for 15 years because we want to replace the water main probably in the next 10 years at least.
Yeah.
So it is still on the books that we want to do it, but we're just trying to figure out a good approach to deal with the pavement surface first.
Okay, so not this next year, but maybe the year after.
Yep. Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ellen.
Thank you.
Eli, no? Okay, if you'd like to come up.
Should I say my name again?
Yes, please.
Linnea Willie, resident of Winooski. Can you explain a little bit more about the Gilbrook project that is ongoing?
Sure, yep. So last budget, we included some funding, I think it was around 20 grand for, if you're familiar with that, it's sheet pile wall that it's near the roadway.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of corrosion at the bottom of that sheet pile wall. And it could be very likely that sheet pile wall may need to be replaced due to the corrosion. Potentially there's a repair option there too, but that's what the funding would do, is look at that sheet pile wall and what alternatives we would have there.
That's lining the pond.
Yep,
on that
and
side.
there's
Okay.
also some benefits if we can kind of push that sheet pile a little bit more into the pond itself, and we could create some buffer for stormwater. So and then that kind of triggers this whole improvement for parking and access, and we would get Parks and Rec folks involved. But the first step would be to sort of do an evaluation on the sheet pile wall to see if we need to fully replace it or if repair options are feasible for that.
Okay.
So we just haven't unfortunately gotten to it yet.
Well, not to add more to the to-do list around that, but while the inspector is in there, if they want to go around to the other side, there's this water drain that just bleeds rust into this section of water in the forest.
Is that on the upper, are you talking about the upper pond, or is that
Yeah,
down?
on the side that's closest to the air base.
Got it, okay, okay. Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
helpful.
And
Yep.
that's it for today.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Terry, and then.
Hi again, Terry Zigmund. Just had a question about the park that you mentioned. Where is that park? Or is it a proposed park?
No, so the Gilbrook?
No, the, East Allen, was it?
West Allen.
West Allen?
The
Oh,
dog park and the
I just saw
basketball
Ray
courts.
Dog park, where the dog park is, down there, sorry.
Oh, okay,
Yep.
okay,
Yep.
okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
And that's part of the parks plan, Ray, right?
Correct, yeah, so the idea there would be to take, what is now a very conceptual level project and try to work that into a more, construction ready or construction level project, that we could then build out or bid out, so that's the idea there.
Awesome.
Thank you, Ray.
I saw you look at me, so I figured I could come up.
Well, you know, former mayor raises his hand.
You know, sorry, I knew there was something else I wanted to ask John, and it's strictly with the bond debt service. I'm assuming you've got some schedule that shows when different bonds are being paid off, and I don't know if you have that tonight or if that's going to be available. And also, for the proposed bonds that you talked about for the police station and East Spring Street, what the annual payments were. And can I assume that the police station bond is going to be like a 10-year thing as opposed to a 20-year?
I don't have it up. Angela, you might have to help me a little bit. I think we assumed a 20-year on the
We
police
did assume a
station
20
bond.
years,
Yeah.
pretty standard for bond bank.
Yeah. I forget what the interest payment we
Okay.
assumed for that, but we do have a full schedule. And Angela, do you know if we show sort of that full debt schedule?
We have
In
the 5-year what's coming off in the 5 years in the budget book, but we can generate reports. We use a debt management software, debt book, that can generate some pretty decent reports showing when we're going to have debt coming off our books.
Is that something that would be available online on the city's website? Or where would someone find that?
We can generate the report and add it to the budget book if it's something that people are interested in seeing.
I would be, but I don't know if the council is. I'm hoping they are, but anyway.
Can we just get Mike a license to debt book, please?
Thank you.
I don't know, labor hours for Angela or another license?
That'd be nice.
All right, thank you. And that I'll leave.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any other public comment? All right, seeing none, I gotta go back to my agenda here.
Anybody online?
This is just a discussion. All right, we will move on to our next item, discussion fiscal year 26-27, proposed budget, public works. John, you get to go again.
Yep. Okay, so this is more my wheelhouse. Are you sharing? Okay, there we go. So public works budget, this is just our annual operating budget, with the exception of the parking funds, the elevator replacement project. Okay. So for the agenda, just kind of a high-level overview, and then I'll just go through the operational public works budget. But then we'll also go through the water fund budget, sewer fund budget, and the elevator capital project, and then just some emerging items that are coming up.
Yeah.
I'm not going to read all these, but we have a really great team on the public works side. I'm really lucky to work with them. They do so much just work on behalf of everyone here that, you know, most people don't even see, and usually that's a good thing. That means things are working. So I'm just always in awe of the crew that I get to work with here. On the bigger projects, obviously Main Street is almost done. Thankfully, we'll be wrapping up next spring. The The bridge project, we're starting to really get into more design, like design build RFP phase, and that'll start getting into construction, 2027. And then our partnering project with Lot 7D, the parking garage and the hotel and housing. Parking garage is almost complete, I would say. They have mechanical pieces to get in and some of the like smaller electrical components and things like that. But overall, that project is finally moving forward. So that one should, I believe they're still scheduled to be open this coming summer with the hotel. So big projects are moving along well. For next season, wrap up Main Street, get really into the design build phase of the Burlington Bridge project and take ownership of the parking garage piece of the Lot 7D project. And then, other projects we'll be working on is we discussed previously, the Hoods Crossing signal design and potential sidewalk extension, the elevator replacement, which we'll talk about, our annual street resurfacing and sidewalk work, which is, bidding project and a lot of field work. We do have some stormwater regulatory work that we have to complete next summer. The treatment plant flood mitigation work, at least some design work that we want to get started on this coming year. Updating our water distribution master plan and try to catch up a little bit with Main Street kind of closing out. There's a lot of like internal admin stuff that we've been trying to get to. So this is kind of our team setup. So it's roughly 16 folks. It is broken up by general fund parking, mostly general fund on the left side and water sewer fund on the right side. So some of us are split between water sewer fund and general fund. But pretty small team for everything that they do. And right now, luckily, we only have one vacancy, which is pretty amazing. And then we do have a potential retirement coming up this year with our fleet mechanic. So that'll be a major loss if he does decide to retire. I don't know. He's on the fence, so we'll see how it goes.
Before we move on from that, so just want to mention that some of those complaints, like the mayor alluded to, the top two complaints, I think, are sidewalks and road conditions. We could do more and address those if we had more staff. Like as John was saying, this is what we can do with our staff. So it's not just that if we're thinking about increased material costs to do those projects, it would be additional labor in order to get those done.
Are you requesting more staff?
If we can actually get fully staffed, then I might be coming back to you. But that's been the challenge. Is like it's hard to tell because we've never been fully staffed. Yeah. I wouldn't feel comfortable coming to you asking for more people until we actually fill the ranks that we don't have right now.
We did ask for everything.
I know.
But,
I know.
Maybe next time.
Yeah, yeah. So once we get to that point, then yes, maybe.
We could put it in the budget options tool.
There you go. Yeah.
Love that. That's great.
So getting to the actual budget numbers for FY27, Public Works budget, which includes these sort of three divisions, we're at $1,491,596, which is a 1.9% increase from last year. So those three divisions, engineering, so that's Ryan and I, and a lot of the permitting, grant, admin stuff, we're in that group. Streets division is the bigger number and the more traditional, like what you'd expect for DPW. That's where, all our vehicle and equipment and road salt and all that work lives. And then grounds and facilities covers quite a bit of items. So that includes like this building and the electrical bills for this building and utilities, maintenance, mowing, street lights, tree work. It's kind of a catch-all for everything that else isn't in streets. And then here's just kind of a breakdown of what that looks like. So by division, as I mentioned, streets is kind of the biggest chunk of that, 895,000 roughly. And then on the right side, you'll see by category, salaries and benefits is the biggest number there, which is pretty typical, 62%. And then below are just highlighting some of the kind of the bigger ticket items in each of the groups. So vehicle equipment maintenance is a big one. Road salt, we're trying to slowly, hopefully get down with the use of liquid brine application. And then grounds and facilities, you know, GMP, electrical costs are a major one there.
Yeah.
Engineering, traffic calming evaluations is, I think, in the add tool now, but it's, I'll talk about that on the next slide. So just some highlights on the engineering side. We are looking to update some technology that we use so that we can do more work in-house, updating some of our design software. On the street side, it's not really a budgetary item, except for reducing budgetary salt costs, but we are fully implementing the brine salt application now. So we, you know, as you can kind of see on the picture there with the truck with the tank, our crew built that. It's called an anti-ice unit. So they go out pre-storm and we'll apply that to the roadways to help with any ice build up. And then we have the brine maker system. That's the other photo next to the truck. And then one thing we do want to do next year, because we hear it all the time too on the street side, is have sort of a built-in 3-year contract for roadway painting and markings, specifically for kind of the main thoroughfares like East Allen, Malletts Bay, Main Street, and the downtown. So we just have them on a cycle where they come in. Because ultimately what we're finding is it's hard to get those crews in town. Like there's one contractor that basically does all the work. So if we get them on a longer 3-year contract, that may help us with getting that work scheduled. And then getting to the traffic calming evaluation. So I think it's in the budget tool. So there is a couple options for that. One thing we've been thinking about is applying to the regional planning work plan grant this year. The deadline is the end of this month though. It's a fairly easy grant, but leveraging the 80% match that they provide to do multiple traffic calming evaluations next season and support outreach and doing some concept planning for some of the traffic calming evaluations we've done so far. Again, to try to catch up a little bit, because I think we have 12 that are currently potential in our candidate list. So
Maybe more.
yeah, and probably more coming. So one thing that's been a surprise to us is that so far we've done 3 traffic calming evaluations since the traffic calming manuals come out. And 2 of those 3 have come back as, yes, you need traffic calming. So it's a little concerning that many, and those streets are more local streets. You wouldn't expect speeding, but apparently I've seen it around town too, but apparently there's a lot of speeding going on. So this would just help us get a jump on some of that and kind of take a broader look at what we need to do for traffic calming on multiple streets. Here's just the kind of basic overview of the breakdown by categories for the general fund. Any questions on the DPW operational items before I get into water sewer?
I have a really quick one with the brine maker. Is there going to be a way to also potentially apply that to our sidewalks? Like have a little brine maker on those machines?
Yeah, so we built a little trailer with a tank on it. Unfortunately, it got smashed the other day, right before this ice storm. So we haven't been able to use it that much. But yeah, that is the plan. Is we tow it behind the sidewalk plow and apply it to sidewalks.
Awesome, that's exciting. Though sad that it got smashed.
Yeah.
Counselor Hurd, I think I have a photo of it. I can send it to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Or even, is that like a little push cart in the vestibule here?
Yeah, we got that for free actually through a grant from UVM to apply it out here.
Yeah.
Yep.
It'd be interesting if they, not on Upper Main Street, but in the downtown core, for the brick pavers, you know,
Yeah.
in the meantime.
Yep. All right, so I'll get into the water and sewer budgets. So highlights, increases for FY27, water rate increase is proposed at 5.9% increase, and sewer rate at 8.8% increase. And what that typically means for an average 3-bedroom household is about $7 per month or 21 per quarter. So the reason we're increasing again this year, this will be the first year of payments for Main Street debt. So we've been trying to buffer this upcoming payment for the last 5-6 years, and so now we're finally at this debt payment coming in on Main Street. So on the water fund side, a little bit smaller budget because we actually we purchased our water from Champlain Water District. So as you can see in the chart, almost half of our budget is just buying water. And then the other half is maintaining the actual water system itself. So, and most of that is on the salary and benefits side. So yeah, on the water system, we maintain all the water mains, the hydrants, we do the metering and the billing on that system. This map kind of shows our entire water system and highlights some of the work that we are proposing to do in the upcoming years, hopefully. So this highlights from our water main master plan from 2016, the priority water main replacement. So short term, this is coming from 2016. So this was supposed to be done within the next 10 years. We did get Hickok Street done, which was on that list, but as you can see, LaFountain Street is identified there, which is why we did the scoping study. Mallets Bay is also included on that short-term list. And then long-term, 10 to 20 years out, are all the areas in yellow. So pretty significant amount of work. The chart shown is difficult to read, but that comes from our 2016 report that's on our webpage. Updating that to current cost estimate, current year estimate, it's about $18 million to do all that work, just the water main work. So pretty significant investment needed there over the next few years. So,
and that amount doesn't include the road work, right?
Right.
So it's that plus many more millions.
Yep.
This is the slide that always terrifies me every year.
Me too.
Also is why John has emphasized that any streetscaping work usually is combined with this, so you're not doing it and then tearing it up and doing it again.
Yeah, that's the one benefit, of being in a small city like this. So Ryan, myself, and Joe, and we're all kind of one department. So, we know, it's not like a bigger city where, maybe the street crew's doing something that the water crew doesn't know. We can look at it really holistically, which is good. The problem is we don't have the resources that say those big cities have, unfortunately. But yeah, this is obviously if you ask what keeps you up at night, this is the one thing that always is scary, because most of the water main in the city is over 100 years old. So, that's typically beyond its useful life. So it's a matter of just trying to address it, after Main Street, maybe a street at a time, something like that.
Any plans to do those top 5 in the next 5 years?
It would be a bigger discussion with Angela and see what we can actually, accommodate. And obviously Elaine would budgeting with what's coming up, but La Fountain would be probably
Excellent.
the next one. However, we are gonna be updating the water distribution master plan with some new data.
Hmm.
So it may change a little bit based on that too.
Yeah, okay.
This is just some of the existing debt. We don't have a ton of existing debt on the water main side or the water fund side. So we do have a water tower allocation back in 2015. And then everything else is street reconstruction projects. So West Canal Street, Hickok Street, and then the Main Street deck coming online this coming FY27. And then proposed, I did just flag the La Fountain work here. Obviously, there's still a lot of details we need to figure out, but we would likely use the state drinking water financing. So that's the, step one, step two. Step one is you do like a concept plan, step two, and then it just kind of, the financing keeps rolling into construction, and then you kind of roll up into one loan at the end. So that's more of just hey, just flagging it. It might be coming up in the next couple of years. And then we have some fleet replacement that's partially funded by general fund, partially funded by water and sewer.
Okay.
And then this is, again, is just sort of a summary comparison. Yeah, and unfortunately, those pictures on the right, those are all pretty recent, which is scary. The one at the bottom was the scariest. That was the one at East Allen was it this past summer? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where we had to shut down East Allen for a day. It was brutal. Sewer fund. So sewer fund's a little bit bigger, mostly because we have a wastewater treatment plant that we run and operate. It also includes stormwater in the sewer fund. So the total budget is around 1.6 million. Again, most of that is on the salary and benefits side. And we do have a pretty significant, capital funding on this one too. So existing debt, you can see for FY27, we are adding that Main Street debt. So it is, quite a bit higher than on the water side because it's stormwater and sanitary sewer on the Main Street debt. So we are at a total of 368,000 roughly for FY27, including some of the treatment plant upgrades that are kind of at the top there. Proposed debt. So we don't have a lot for this year. The one thing we did try to get in for this year was, you can see the photo of the Vector truck, which is a 2012. That truck is probably in the $700,000 range for replacement. Without completely blowing the budget up, it didn't really fit this year, but we are going to try to get it in for next year for replacement. That's due based on its useful life, and we use that vehicle a lot. So that's what clears all the sewer lines, and we use for emergency call outs. Pretty high priority piece of equipment. And then the other thing we'll be working on this summer, it's not shown in the proposed debt because we haven't quite scoped out the project yet, but the flood mitigation work. So we'll be applying for the state priority list for their financing, which is like the step one portion. To do a study to figure out what the best alternative is for flood mitigation. So you can see here at the bottom photos, that's our chlorine contact tank that our crew used basically like, some tarps and sandbags to salvage it. And luckily it works, but obviously that's not ideal for future issues. So we need something a little more permanent. And there's some outfall issues that we have there that we're trying to get better controls on too. So it's good timing.
John, do you know if we qualify for any of the FEMA funds for flood mitigation, or do we not because we didn't actually fully get flooded?
We've tried.
So last year, I haven't gotten an update lately, but last year they ran out of mitigation funding because once they get to a certain level of response funding, they cut off mitigation. And I don't know what's happened lately because FEMA's a bit a black box right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we'll rank pretty well with the Clean Water State funding. Like usually there's a pretty good grant for loan forgiveness piece of that, especially with these types of projects. So that's where we're going to be trying to pursue for this work. And then again, this is just sort of a breakdown between the different years' budgets. And then finally, the parking funds. This is the only odd one that didn't really fit anywhere. So the Cascade Garage elevator, it has been in disrepair for quite a few years. So we've had our elevator, we've gone through a couple elevator contractors at this point. And our last elevator contractor looked at it, basically told us that it needs to be put out of service, that it was unsafe. So that got us moving to look at what kind of rehab replacement work is needed. And what we're looking at doing here is basically installing a dewatering well in the pit, because that's been the biggest challenge for this particular elevator. It's got a sump, and any pump that we've tried to use that meets all the regulations just is not sufficient to keep the water out of that pit. So what the engineers propose is drilling a new well kind of in the stairwell area, and something that we can actually access, because we can't even get into those elevators without having some sort of elevator like state contractor there. So that would be the first step, and then working with the architect and engineer on this, they had recommended some rehab work to the existing elevator chamber and the elevator room, and basically replacing some of the mechanical equipment in there. So in total, their estimate is around $580,000, but that does include like a 20% contingency. So that would be the potential bond value for that. Okay, and then final slide. Just some emerging items. Some of this I've already covered. Just making sure we keep our staffing currently. Because right now, like I said, we've got one vacancy, which is like knock on wood. We haven't been there in quite a while. We've got some key employees that are going to be retiring the next couple of years. So just making sure we're planning for that appropriately. Traffic calming is a big one. We get a lot of concerns. I'm sure you do too. Coming up with a good strategic sort of solution for that. Treatment plant, we talked about that, flood mitigation, and the water distribution system, making sure we have a plan moving forward to replace those mains that are deemed high priority, and then keeping up with our stormwater state regulation requirements. So be a busy year, but we're after Main Street, it'll be quiet, I think, compared to last year.
Careful what you wish
I know,
for,
knock
John.
on wood.
I know. That's all I have. This was a friend that flew in a couple years ago.
Beautiful.
That's our garage. So
Beautiful. Thank
Did you name it?
Yep.
Does it ever come back? Awesome. Appreciate that, John, very, very much. I'll open it to public comment if anybody has comments about what John just presented. Anybody online? All right, not seeing anything online. Anybody in the room? Eli.
Hi again, Eli Ogilvy. Quick question. Striping. Has there ever been discussion with talking with Burlington, with having a contract with them, considering that they already have the equipment?
I have talked to Chapin a little bit about that. Their public works director. It's been a few years. I know they also hire L&D, plus they have their own painting crew, so I don't know how busy they are, but it's a good point. I'll ask him this one and see what their plan is. We have talked about combining sort of like our buying power and just potentially like a group of us going in and be like L&D, like just come paint Chittenden County, you know. So that has been discussed, but I haven't talked to him recently about potentially Burlington paint crew.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Terry.
Terry Zigmund again, more on painting. A couple of questions. First, last year it seemed like a lot of the painting that you'd hoped to get done didn't get done.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just curious about the money that was budgeted for last year. Is that still in reserve? Did that get put somewhere else? Can that be applied to next year?
Yep. So we still have the funding from this year. So we have until basically end of June to use that funding.
Okay. And then I saw that there's a line item that's included now all the time, every year for
Yep.
painting.
Yep.
And I should have asked with the first presentation, but there was something in there about buying a paint machine. Is that for striping?
Yep. So the paint machine that we use, so on any of the the local streets where you know it's not the main corridors, our crew will do those, and it's just a water-based paint machine, so that seems to hold up on the local streets. It does not hold up on anything like any of the main corridors at all. So that's where we use some more durable paint. But our crews will do like the crosswalks and stop bars on the local streets.
So it's just crosswalks and stop bars?
It does. I mean, it won't do. They can do long lines, but it gets a little wavy.
Okay.
They do parking spaces. That's about as long as they'll go. Is like parking lines.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other comments? All right, councilors. Feel free to ask John any questions.
John gets a lot of my questions on a regular basis.
He does. Are there any that you'd like to ask him right now?
I think I saw something in there for the tree ordinance, annual tree maintenance on one slide, but then it didn't seem to be called out elsewhere, so I just wanted to make sure that that is part of your proposed budget.
The tree maintenance itself? Yep. Yeah, I forget what we budgeted for that. I think we're at 20 grand now for tree maintenance, and some of that's driven by the Arbor Day requirements. So we have to spend at minimum 2 cents per capita. And usually we are spending about 20 grand just for tree trimming and removal. So yeah, I believe I don't know, Angela, if you can look that up quick. I think we're at 20 grand on the tree maintenance line.
I think Elsie nodded.
That is what it says, undergrounds and facilities.
Yeah, 20,000 for just the street trees.
Yep.
Okay. And then, when we were going through the ordinance adoption in November, there were a number of questions, or at least a handful of questions about maintenance for the trees that are planted on Main Street and making sure they're getting watered regularly. I think I recall that that larger project includes funding for watering, but will this 20K contribute to that, or is it separate?
That's separate, at least for the trees this year. So they have a 1-year warranty on them that the contractor will hold. But we will be using those gator bags for all those trees that our crew will be filling up.
Okay.
At least for the ones that have, on the lower end of the corridor. And then the contractor will be responsible for the ones that they'll be planting this spring.
Okay, got it. Great.
But yeah, it's mostly for those trees, it's just keeping up with the watering.
And then I just want to second, line striping and funding for line striping. I'm happy to see that there's at least some money for annual budget for that. I think it was 40K last year, is that, or for FY26?
I think we had, Angela, I'm sorry, I'm looking at you again. Did we have 20K last year for line striping?
Was that
In 20
FY25 or FY26? Probably was 25.
In FY25, we had 13,530 that we actually spent. We had budgeted 20. We cut it to 15 for FY26 based on what we were being able to do.
Yeah, and then just anything we can do to leverage that contractor.
Yeah.
I don't know, bake brownies, whatever works.
Yeah, whatever, exactly.
They told
Yeah.
us if we book them in November, they'll make it.
Okay.
We'll see.
Yeah.
It seemed like a missed opportunity this year, given how dry the weather was.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. But thank you for the work and for the presentation.
Thanks.
Sorry, John. Have you looked into a C-Click Fix program, and do you have any idea what that would cost?
We've talked about it internally. So we have an asset management system that we use internally, and that does have like an outside facing component that's C-Click Fix basically. I think it was maybe a couple $1,000s when we initially looked at it to make it like public facing, but I don't think we haven't talked about it in a little while.
Yeah, it turns out, because Public Works is supportive of it, so it'll be just a bit of an internal process for us to figure out whether we can do it.
But it's feasible, especially with our internal system. That might be the easiest way to do it. We'd have to loop in Paul and see. I mean, because I think our website is tied to C-Click Fix too, so it'd be just comparing like what would be the best option to go with.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it'd be interesting to see that, and if you have any estimates on what that would take in money and also in your time to deal with. Yeah.
And I think Burlington uses it. I only know it. Okay, I only know because the BTV cleanup crew, which I've been a part of, uses it from like a mutual aid standpoint. I'm unfamiliar if the municipality uses it, but I'm seeing heads shake and heads nod. So I would be interested to know. You can talk to them. But,
I think it would definitely, like with our internal system right now, the way it works is like if a lot of the questions will go to the clerk will input them into our internal asset, like service request system. So it might save a step there, take some load off the clerk's office, which would,
I also just want to note that the city staff of Burlington is like 400 times the city staff of Winooski. Something that works for Burlington, there's a very likely chance it might not work for us, and I just want to acknowledge and name that. So
So
I think you're off the hook.
all right,
Thanks,
thank you.
John.
Appreciate
John.
it.
All right, so our next item is discussion approval over a background check policy for potential appointees to commission, committees, and boards. And Elaine will talk to us about that.
Yeah, so the city does not currently conduct background checks of people being recommended to city council for appointment to a commission, committee, or board. Staff have recommended city council do adopt a background check policy to reduce preventable risks related to staff and other appointees' safety and/or the city's reputation. Adopting a policy would also make the process of disqualification based on such considerations more transparent. The reason staff is requesting a policy is due to a situation we found ourselves in August of 2025 when staff happened to do a simple Google search on an applicant's name. We don't do this on a regular basis. We just happened to do it this time. Staff did not have any guidance on how to proceed and spent several hours on the matter, including with the city attorney. We did arrive at a solution, which resulted in the recommendation we made to you at that time. but staff felt it would be better to have a uniform approach via policy and for future reference. So staff members don't have to recreate the wheel each time they are faced with a situation, which we don't anticipate would happen very often. The two examples we brainstormed as a leadership team that might be of concern were if someone were convicted recently of child abuse, given that we have had people under the age of 18 serving on our commissions or committees, and if someone were recently convicted of a sex crime, given that sometimes staff liaisons are staffing commission meetings solo on this floor of this building. Deputy Mayor Oakleaf did raise a point we had not considered in an early question provided to staff ahead of tonight. That question was that it could introduce a barrier to serving on commissions, whereas the bar is already high. And then a member of the public raised a similar concern in that the broad authority provided by this policy could be used in a discriminate way. I have confidence that our current staff would not use it this way, but I certainly can't guarantee future staff beyond my service would not do that. There have been other points raised that I'll defer to council if you'd like to discuss here. I will say that there isn't an urgency to this policy at this time from our perspective as staff. So if council would like to direct staff to take into account other considerations and or ask other commissions or committees to review, I'm certainly open to that.
Thank you, Elaine. I appreciate you bringing this towards us. Given the situation that kind of prompted it, I know that it is a place where I wouldn't really want staff to be in, or our commission members. And just as a reminder to the public, and less so this board, but also to us, that commissioners are volunteers who are frequently asked to conduct interviews, figure out if somebody is the right person to serve on a board. And they have a staff liaison, but that member of staff also has full-time 40 to 60 hour a week job. So I see this as a potential tool that can assist those volunteer members in helping to pick somebody for their board. I completely recognize the concerns that were raised by the member of public, by Councillor Oakleaf. So in that vein, Elaine, when you created this document, I'm assuming Jesse probably did a lot of this work too. Has the city attorney had a chance to look it over?
Yes, they looked at the policy as is, but they didn't necessarily consider the two concerns that I named here.
Okay. I would be open for a commission taking a look at this language, maybe. The commission that comes to mind might be Safe, Healthy, Connected People. Just thinking with their charge of, creating and fostering a community event aspects, atmosphere where people feel safe and included. And I think that's essentially what we're trying to target this document towards, right? Like, it's not created with the intent to exclude people, but it's created to make sure that the people who are existing, serving on commissions or on staff are able to always be in a situation in which they are most safe and comfortable. I see, for example, in section 6, convictions involving crimes of moral turpitude. That is a very legal term. I completely understand it. However, it does allow council or whoever it would be who's reviewing this to have to put their own subjectivity on what they believe moral turpitude is. So there are certain call-outs like that where I think it might be good, and maybe it's the word that needs to stay there because again it is a legal term, but it's things like that I would like Safe, Healthy, Connected People, if that is the commission, to take a look at this. That said, I'm in support of this moving forward, but I completely recognize the concerns that people have raised. Councillor Hurd.
Yeah, moral turpitude also stood out to me as maybe not a criteria that we want to use, just, given the objectivity of it, or lack thereof. I'm also actually leaning towards Safe, Healthy, Connected, at least being the first commission to go over it, just an acknowledgement that inclusion and belonging doesn't meet as often, and also often already has a very full plate. So I could see it going to Safe Healthy Connected, and then if Safe Healthy Connected maybe recommends the additional commission support, I think that could be valuable. So I'm trying to balance both, like this feels like something that would be very good for IMB, but also considering the rest of their workload.
Yeah, Councillor Hurd, I didn't mention IMB just because I know they've got a heavy workload at the moment, but maybe we could ask Safe Healthy that they make sure that their IMB commissioner is present for this conversation.
Definitely, yeah, and I think the current commissioner would have a lot of great, or ambassador would have a lot of great feedback on this. Because it isn't super timely, I'm also very much in the favor of we take this a little bit slow, like have this initial discussion today and then maybe get some additional feedback. I would also be curious to see, I think this might have been something Deputy Mayor Oakleaf brought up, but I don't know if I saw it, the answer. I might have just missed the email, but specifically around kind of best practices of other folks like within VLCT that might be able to inform as well. Just thinking about, using those resources too.
I also just want to name, I deeply appreciate the thought process of both the mayor and Councillor Hurd, because my first instinct, to be transparent, was that it should go to INB. And I, as a newer council member, am not super familiar with the workload of INB, and so I deeply agree, or vehemently agree, whatever, with that process. As the city council liaison to Safe, Healthy, and Connected People, I can help to bring it to that commission. But to me, there was something in me that really thought that INB should at some point in time just have a say or get its eyes on it, or so I just want to second that and just say that I really agree with the thought process there, and yeah, anything that I can do as a member of the Safe, Healthy, and Connected People Commission, I'm more than happy to facilitate.
Yeah, I think having you able to kind of introduce some of what the council's current thinking would be super helpful. Yeah, and I think some of it too, I'll see, again, we're kind of onboarding a new chair with IMB, so it might be, I'm just thinking if we start the process moving with Safe, Healthy, Connected, IMB might then be in a better place to pick it up and already have that feedback to work off of.
Awesome. And I have the capacity to attend an IMB meeting at any point in time, so.
Awesome.
Other thoughts?
I have many. I shared a number of my questions ahead of time. I think I'm relieved to hear that there isn't urgency around this and that we do have the benefit of time to bring this to at least one, but maybe a second commission. I want to acknowledge and appreciate the need for everyone to feel safe. And I also am just very cognizant of how flawed our judicial system can be, and that on both sides there's injustice. And so I just feel a lot of reservation about maybe even creating a false sense of safety in a way. I think, I wonder if there are other things that we can do to make sure that maybe staff aren't alone in City Hall by themselves, or there's awareness made with whoever's on call and on duty with the police department downstairs. So there's a check-in time if anybody's in City Hall upstairs by themselves. But I wonder if there are other things that we can do to increase safety without needing to leverage a policy that may not achieve the effect and desired ends that I think are being hoped for. I am also really reluctant to be the only municipality in the state that requires background checks to participate in boards, commissions, or committees. I personally would need to have a lot more data and a lot more background before I would feel comfortable supporting a decision with that. Again, I do acknowledge and want to make sure that folks feel safe, but I can't help but wonder, are there other means to achieve that same end without creating more barriers to participation?
I want to echo a lot of what Bryn has said, councilor member has said, deputy mayor has said, and that my my own personal lived experience of being inside of the policing system and the criminal legal system. I know from personal experience that some things don't show up on a background check because sometimes charges don't get made. And I also want to name that, like, I deeply believe in transformative and restorative justice, and I don't think that something on a piece of paper on a background check means that someone does not get an opportunity to serve on inclusion and belonging, finance, safe, healthy, and connected people. And I think that this conversation, I'm grateful that we're having this conversation. I'm grateful that we are a community and a city that is going to continue to have this conversation. That we can bring this, like Bryn said, not only to one commission, but potentially two. And I think that this is one of the great things about this community, is that we are here to hold space for hard conversations. I'm not saying this is hard, but it might be for some people. And so I just want to extend gratitude to you and to the staff, particularly Elaine. Sorry, I made that because I was almost called you city manager. So I really want to acknowledge that, like, I was not a member of city council in August of last year when this took place, but I cannot fathom how hard it must have been for staff. And I understand staff's want and need for structure, for a policy, for be able to go and say, like, on this piece of paper, this is what's happening. This is bringing up something for me on an individual level. Potentially I would very much assume that people on staff are trauma survivors themselves, have experienced something with inside of the judicial system. And so there's a lot of complexity here, and I just think it's important to name that. And I just really appreciate how everyone is showing up today.
Are those next steps clear for you?
No.
Okay, so if I'm understanding correctly, we might need to, I think this is called for a vote, but let me see if I've got a good idea of where I think most of us are at.
I do wonder, before we move to proposing a motion, about any public comment.
Certainly. And I wasn't going to propose a motion, I just wanted to see if get on the same alignment.
Okay, sorry for jumping in.
No, that's fine. But public comment's good too. Anybody online have any thoughts here that they would like to share? Yes, Jen.
Hi, thanks for taking the time to have this conversation. I just wanted to say, I think that there's a lot of really important things that you all are talking about. And there's also ways that I've seen, not necessarily city, but like nonprofits who have required background checks or other things, but not necessarily had a policy about how they were going to be used. And it was, again, I think it's that balancing of safety for everybody involved and the inclusion piece. And I just wanted to add, I think just hearing y'all talk about this, that it would be something that INB would be interested in talking about, and maybe, consulting or giving some feedback for whichever commission picks up to make some decisions. Thanks.
Great, thank you, Jen. Appreciate that. Anybody else on Zoom? All right, anybody in the room? All right, thank you. and I do just want to note, and we all received an email today. I don't know if everybody was able to get to it, but as we're continuing this conversation, if you weren't able to get to it, if you'll just take a look at that.
Could I, one more piece of background?
Yes.
So, prompted by Bryn's questions, we did a little bit more homework today, and so we've, in our HR director's tenure, he's been here 3.5 years. He's done probably over 200 background checks for employees, and there was only 2 that came back with a finding. So the chances of this coming up again feel really low. Otherwise, the more obvious time frame to shoot for would be during the next appointment cycle, which is, for July. So just noting that that's a deadline that would be nice, but also probably not critical.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I think it would be nice if, depending on, what we hear from commissions and what we decide, to have this available before that next appointment round, especially as I mentioned earlier, some of our commissions are quite lacking, so appointments are kind of rolling. Okay.
And working backwards, because of council involvement with that, they usually get announced in May so that there's enough time for interviews, so that selection can be made and voted on in June for appointments to kick off in July for the next fiscal year. So essentially, I think in the timing wise, I'm unsure if with, town meeting coming up as well, if we're gonna be able to successfully meet a late April, early May deadline for folks to opt in or opt out of giving consent for a background check. Just adding on, working backwards.
Sure. So, where I think the majority of us are at is we'd like the document as it exists to go to Safe, Healthy, Connected People. I'd leave that to Al and Ray and your chair to determine when you can put that on your meeting schedule. Council's highlighted a particular concern with the word moral turpitude, for you to look at that specifically, to assure that the INB commissioner, ambassador, is available for whenever you schedule that conversation. And depending on how that conversation goes, Safe, Healthy, Connected People may forward the document, how it stands, or with edits that they have suggested, to INB. If that's what happens, INB would look that over, and then it would come back with the suggestions from both commissions to City Council. That's what I think I heard. Is that what you all are understanding?
I think, I'm not sure where in the process it makes sense for that to fit, but to see what other municipalities in the area, how they've approached this, how they've dealt with this issue before, see if the Vermont League of Cities and Towns has some feedback, if there's some external information we could collect, maybe before it goes to the commission.
I would like to say, I think VLCT is an easy reach out on that. I don't want to burden staff asking them to reach out to all the municipalities.
Yeah.
If Safe, Healthy, Connected People in their work would like to look into if there's anything public that people have posted.
Yeah.
I also, sometimes it's for good, sometimes it's just what we do here in Winooski, but we can do things without knowing what anybody else has done. And I think a lot of times we try to look specifically to what Burlington has done to do it here. So, I think staff has made a recommendation that we have there are varying concerns, but it seems like we understand why staff is asking for that. So I just don't want staff to spend that time reaching out to all these communities, and then you gotta wait and hear back from them. So if we wanna ask VLCT, I think that's a fine ask. Elaine can reach out to Ted Brady pretty easily on that. And they would they keep in touch with the town, so they might have the answer that you're looking for in that second part. But if you are in
No,
agreement with me
yeah,
there.
I think it also makes sense to not always be reinventing the wheel, and if there is like, some of these questions have been grappled with or addressed, if there is benefit to the hive mind, I would like to see, like, to hear VLCT at least.
Yeah.
We could
All right.
compromise on not other municipalities.
One last thing, because we don't know how the timing will fall. I would say something to consider is any additional protocols or measures that could be implemented in the near term, to help address safety concerns that staff may have. And, you know, that can be something that you work on with the chief, and, you know, with HR, however, with Jesse, however you see, addresses your needs best.
Councilor Hurd, I see you got your hand up.
One thing that I guess this might go towards, like, the discussion with Safe, Healthy, Connected, but it might also go towards future discussions with the city lawyers. I'm just wondering if if we do move forward with having a policy like this, if we can be more explicit in the way, or more, I don't know, maybe human-centered in the way that we talk about the evaluation of results, like how to really underline that we're hoping like this doesn't disqualify people. Like our absolute hope is to say yes to anyone who's interested in serving. And I'm not like coming up with the exact words right now, but just thinking about how we can really underline, like, not using this as a punitive document and using it truly to, make sure there is that safety, especially with commissions like the library commissions, our committee specifically has a youth member, and IMB in the past has had a youth member. So I do think that in particular is important to underline and think about.
Yeah. Thank you, Aurora. All right. Elaine, is that a little clearer what we would like?
Assuming that that's,
What gets voted on, yeah.
that's, right, yeah, then yes.
Okay. So I would seek a motion to approve the next steps that I just outlined, including sending this to Safe, Healthy, Connected People, potentially IMB, and to VLCT before it comes back to City Council.
So moved. Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, our last item tonight, discussion approval city manager review process. So, per our contract between the city manager and the city council, we have to perform an annual performance evaluation of the city manager. Historically, that review is conducted over the course of January and February. The plan to complete that before town meeting day, when the composition of council is likely to change. So in the past, so the process that I'm recommending is essentially the process that we've, I don't want to say forever, but at least since I've been on council, is the process that we have conducted, in which one of us will circulate a survey tool that was created several years ago, that significantly updated last year at this point, 2025, by Councillor Hurd and Deputy Mayor Oakleaf. I sent you all, or Elaine sent you all that tool so that you could take a look at it, seeing as you weren't on council when we approved that. So what I'm looking to do today is to designate a councillor who will manage this process. So essentially that will be distributing the tool to council and to the leadership team within the city, and collecting those responses and kind of summarizing that for the rest of your councilors. I've also got a proposed timeline here. My hope is today, January 5th, we'll decide on a councilor to manage that process. January 6th, that survey will be sent to the counselor, so they will have control of that. It's currently a Google form.
Yep, yes.
Hope would be then through January 7th through the 9th, that survey would be sent out. Ask for responses to be back by the 20th. The 27th, compile all of those responses and share them with council and the city manager. On February 2nd, we would discuss the report findings and the results in an executive session with the city manager. And then February 18th, I would present a summary of the memo of those results for the public record. So,
I volunteer.
Okay.
As tribute.
I had an explanation as to why I was going to nominate you, but there we go.
No, I'm not running for election in town meeting days, so I did the bulk of the work with updates. So I might lean on you for some advice here and there, since I think before this past January, I think you might have been lead
Yes.
before that. So
you also deserve to sail off into your
yes,
retirement without having to chase down city staff to finish their survey.
An easier retirement for this term, I guess. But yeah, I'm happy to be appointed and take on that task.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. You have that survey already, so I don't need to send that to you. Great. Are you good? Is everybody here good with the timeline, including you, Elaine, as you are quite involved with the end part of the timeline? Okay. We did warn an executive session if council feels like there's anything more in depth you would like to discuss outside of public discussion right now. If anyone thinks they need that, let me know.
The one thing was the ICMA had a recommendation of having a discussion or debrief of the content of the evaluation ahead of the evaluation going out. I don't know if y'all still feel that is warranted or necessary.
So, sorry, in addition to like what I had planned for February 2nd?
Yeah, it would go out ahead of the survey going out. Like, do we need to review the tool so that we are in agreement on the terms and that we agree on?
So, okay, so I appreciate you raising that.
Collectively have consensus on the intent.
So excluding the two of you, we had an in-depth conversation about that where I think we all agreed on what it looks like and feels like. That said, you two didn't partake in that discussion.
Have so much trust in all of you.
I do want to offer the opportunity for Elaine, though, because it was a recommendation in the ICMA that we acknowledged back in September.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up because I had forgotten when I was reviewing that. So the purpose of that is actually to make sure that council is on the same page about what everything means in there. So that it would be helpful. I would also be comfortable if the two of you, and if somebody else that isn't the two of you is comfortable providing you an offline overview of that. I guess we'd still have to warn it as quorum, but you wouldn't be deciding anything per se, so that's a possibility.
What else is on the agenda tonight?
I don't know if we can discuss it because it's not warned.
Yeah. I mean, the evaluation is, though, itself, so
it's all within.
You could do that as part of this meeting.
Okay.
I know it's late.
Yeah, it's not that late.
I mean, I could do it right now,
yeah. Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Do you want a motion to adjourn this meeting?
It would be part of the meeting.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think Elaine is mentioning that it would need to be part of this agenda item, correct?
Right, if we're going to discuss that, I would discuss it now.
A clarifying question. So Thomas did send you both the tool.
Yeah.
Did you by a chance have an opportunity to look at it yet?
Yes, but I will say I don't know what I don't know, so if there's
Sure.
more context that needs to be added,
Okay.
I
Fair enough.
think that would be helpful
Yeah, same.
to avoid any potential misunderstandings.
Aurora, is it worth bringing up the tool on the screen? And like, what would be the best way to walk through this?
I mean, I might be able to do it. Let's see.
Ellen, I do just want to check with you if you would like us to discuss the tool in public right now. I know I hadn't
Yeah,
included
I
that
would
in the
prefer
agenda.
it was an executive.
That's what I thought, sorry. That's
Okay.
why I was like, should we adjourn this?
Okay,
meeting?
so,
Oh, I see, yeah.
Yeah.
are we done with this except for the tool part?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is just, I've got another item for discussion approval, so I'm just gonna keep this as discussion, end this conversation, and then we'll move into executive. All right, so with that, an executive session was warned. We'll be entering into an executive session, inviting the city manager, pursuant of 1 VSA 3133, the appointment or employment or evaluation of a public officer or employee. We are entering executive session at 8:50 p.m. We're just staying here.
Do you anticipate taking action afterwards, per se?
I guess we'll be voting on the process that I just spoke about.
Right, okay, all right, sorry, Steve.
Sorry. To members of the public, we will be entering executive session, so I would ask if you would wait outside. If you want to come back, you can. If not, feel free to brave the cold and go home.
One logistical question.
Oh yeah, sorry. I need a motion to enter that executive session.
So moved.
But there's a logistical question we need to address before we can do that. Was a link shared for Aurora to join an executive session?
No, but I can do that right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then can we stay in here? Our mic's just gonna be muted?
Yeah, Steve will might mute, because we're gonna come back and vote. He's
Okay.
gotta keep it running.
They're still live right now.
Got it,
Yeah.
okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank
Aye.
you.
And you are back.
Great, all right, we are out of executive session. We did not discuss anything outside of what it was warned for, nor did we take any votes. So we're moving on to the item 9, regular items, discussion approval, city manager review process. As we had discussed earlier, Deputy Mayor Oakleaf is willing to distribute the survey tool to council and to the leadership team. And follow the proposed timeline from my memo with no edits asked for by other councilors.
We have to do that tomorrow?
No, this was, we were gonna send the survey to,
On there, I got it.
yeah, and you already have it, so send it to yourself. But January 7th through the 9th, you gotta get those
All right.
surveys out there and get them back. So I will seek a motion for the approval of this process to commence.
So moved.
Thank you.
Seconded?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Wonderful. With that, the city council meeting can be adjourned. So if we would like to close up here, I'd seek a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.